episode of Sunday Breakfast. It is Sunday the 16th of August. Really excited to be back with you. We've stuck with this podcast format because I have received feedback that people preferred it this way. I don't know why. Maybe it was just easier to listen rather than watch me just flail about on camera. I don't know. Either way, I'm doing what the people have asked and we've kept it in this podcast format. So I hope that you are comfortable wherever you are, and it's always our prayer that as you listen to this and digest what we talk about in these sessions, that God speaks to you, He reveals new things to you, always, that you leave knowing more of Him and feeling more excited about being a Christian and a young Christian in the crazy, crazy world that we live in today. So if you haven't been with us before, hello, I'm Latifah, I'm the youth worker here at The Well, and today I have a special guest. It's Ruth Rogers.
Hello. Hi.
Hiya.
So special.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Time. You're welcome.
So myself and Ruth are going to have a discussion about evangelism, which is the topic for this week, which we're kicking off with today. So easy question to start with, Ruth. How would you define the word evangelism?
That's big. That's a big question, I think, because I think in everyone's life it looks really different, right? So evangelism for you probably looks really different from evangelism for me. But in general terms, to sum it up for everyone, I'd probably say it's like telling or showing other people about Jesus and about how He's great and what He's done for you and how He changes lives.
Yeah.
Is that a good summation?
That's really good.
Great.
I think that's great. The essence of it there.
That's good that I know what we're talking
about.
That's I'm on the right track, right? Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to record this again.
I'm going to find somebody else. Thanks for trying, though.
Thank you.
At the core of it, for me anyway, I think what you were getting at there is the action of sharing something. Yes. Which we're all used to doing. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that later.
Sometimes people overshare.
True.
With things about their lives.
But can you overshare Jesus Christ?
No. I would say no.
Yeah, we could put that on a t-shirt.
You can't
overshare Jesus.
Love that. Are you doing merch for these podcasts?
No, maybe we should.
We should definitely start.
Yeah, you cannot overshare Jesus.
Yeah.
I say the same thing. If I was to define it for myself, I think actually my definition now would be vastly different to my definition when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Now, I personally understand the importance, first of all, and the benefit of having your own relationship before you share anything, I think, of God with anybody else, because it can be, I think, really easy to say the right things, share the things, here's some stuff I know about Jesus, I'm going to tell you about it.
Oh yeah, teaching.
Yes.
I've learnt this in geography and I'm going to teach you about the thing I've learnt in geography. I've learnt this at church, I'm going to teach you about the thing I learnt at church. Yeah.
And that can be, your own experience of it can be absent, I think, quite easily.
Yeah.
So, it's sharing out of the place of your own experience.
Yeah.
Knowing God, having a relationship with God.
Yeah, and I think if, people can look at you and you're just open and honest with people that you would be open and honest with normally, and they can see that God has massively changed your life, that is, the best witness ever, because people know that you're, legit, right?
Yeah.
People know that it's not just something that you're saying or telling other people to do or being you shouldn't do this because God says, that's not very, it doesn't have much integrity behind it. Whereas if you're, living it and people can see that it's genuinely changed your life, why would you not want to tell them about it? And people are way more receptive to stuff like that.
Yeah, and I always use the example with you guys, of, I did this once actually, I'm going to maybe throw Nathan under the bus here, but we were all together in church and I was like, what if I was to tell you guys that you found out that Nando's is giving away free food for 3 hours on Friday night to anyone who went in the building. And Nathan was like, really? And I was like, no, this is hypothetical.
That's funny because I say things like that to you and you're like, really?
Yeah, but...
Like once once you told me you were really bad at understanding sarcasm and I was like, no. You were like, yeah, no, I really am. And then you're like, that was sarcastic, wasn't it?
Okay. Well, maybe I have no leg to stand on.
I'm just
throwing
Nathan
on it. Yeah. But yeah, the gist of it was, well, to be fair, his reaction perfectly summed up the point. He would have been, and anyone would be upset, I think, with you if they found out that you knew something golden like that.
Yeah.
You didn't tell them about it.
And also, I think even with you, it's even more emphasis on it because I feel like if I said, you'd be like, Ruth hasn't been to Nando's for a long time. Why does she know or care? Whereas you really, really love Nando's.
Yes, it has a special place.
Exactly, and like I know your relationship with that, and actually like that's something you're gonna want to share with other people. If it's unlimited and it's free chicken for everyone all the time, like between 3 hours, you're going to tell people about it and you're going to get excited about it because you love Nando's.
I really do.
Yeah.
Very much. I really do.
You're telling me.
Yeah, you're telling me. And that's good. And I find that helpful. I found it helpful at the start when I was considering why I found it difficult to talk about Jesus, God, Christianity with my non-Christian friends was, well, I found it so easy to talk about Nando's in this example or anything else. Yeah. So why is this difficult? And it all came back to what I was saying at the start of, well, what, where am I actually at with my affection, to God, my relationship with God, or a better way of putting it. Basically, do I believe in the thing enough?
Yeah.
And I trust in the thing enough to be so wholeheartedly committed that I have to tell people about it. And with Nando's, yes, for a long time, and with God, it was no for a long time.
Yeah.
And we all have a journey, but and this maybe can be the next question. With evangelism as a whole, would you say that your perception of it, your experience of it, shifted as you've matured as a Christian?
Yeah, definitely. So I think when I was younger, I definitely thought, I don't know, I think it was maybe sold to me, like you have to go out and you have to tell people about Jesus and like they won't always like it, but you have to tell them. And it was very much like telling, whereas I think actually as I've gotten older, I think it's much more about showing. I don't know if that's probably not always true, but often that is like a big way. Like I said, I think I'm very receptive to people who I think have integrity, and like if someone's telling me something and I know they don't really believe it, I'm a bit like, I don't know. You know, when people are like, oh, I'm just the type of person that does this. I'm like, I don't think you are. I think you've made that up. like, you can't tell me. Show me that you're that kind of person, I'll believe it. But if you tell me, I'll be like, And I think as I've gone through life, I've realised that actually, like, it's not just another thing on the to-do list. It's not like another, like, oh, I've got to do this and jump through this hoop because the people at church said I have to tell people about God. If people know my story, and I've spoken to them about like what I used to be like and now what God has done for me and how much that's helped me in my life and how I am now, and they see that in me and they see that change. If I'm like, yes, because of Jesus, they'll believe that. And that's, I think, the most powerful testimony you can have is like, look at what I was, look at who I am now. That's Jesus.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think it's also really important that, because I think, so let's say different person now knows they love God, knows God, but still struggles to share or push themselves, or not push themselves, but push past the comfort zone of sharing their faith, especially as a teenager. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's mental out there for you guys,
it's
so
we
get it.
Yeah.
I think one thing that helps is knowing what you believe, because being uncertain about what you believe and what you think will then make you a little bit wobbly when it comes to sharing something. Let's use the Nando's example. If I didn't know what they sold, what was on the menu, but I just knew I loved it, even though I knew I loved it, I'd still be a bit like unsure about sharing it because I couldn't get past the first question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to answer for myself.
What are they giving away for free? And you'd be like,
something. I just know it's good.
Yeah. I've heard it's tasty.
Yeah. So for yourself, when you know what when you know like what you're standing for, basically, that in itself is going to give you a confidence, I think, to share as the first step. Which is something all you guys are doing, and something we want to provide opportunity for you to do, is to just get to know God more, basically.
Yeah.
So that you're confident in that. But what other kind of, let's say, tips would you say give to somebody who they want to share, but they get nervous about it or aren't sure how to do it? Things like that.
I think there's definitely a load of lies around sharing I think there's something about being a Christian and loving God is such a powerful thing that sometimes when we go to share it with other people, we're like, oh, and it feels really scary and really big. But actually, I think often that's just us like building it up in our own heads, or like a lie that the enemy has told us as well. Like, I think those things can be massively inflated in our own heads. And actually, sometimes you just have to be really brave and just say, like when someone's like, oh, what did you do last night? I'd be like, oh, I went to church. Like that's, even just that is like really scary quite often, but it's the first step, because it's just your friends genuinely care what you did last night. They want to find out more about you. And this is a massive part of your life. And I think it's just making sure that all of your life is one. It's not like, oh, I go to church and I'm church Ruth over here. And then I like hang out with my friends and I'm friends Ruth over here. I think making that all kind of one thing, and sometimes it is a little bit scary to make that first step of, oh, I went to church, and just being open and honest with like what you did last night. If you've like been to Soul Survivor like last summer, be like, oh yeah, did you go anywhere away? And you're like, yeah, I went to this Christian thing. It's really scary, but once you get past that, people ask a lot of questions. Yeah, and it's actually like, I think we build it up in our own heads, but people are way more receptive to it. Or they're like, oh, that's a bit different. Tell me about that. And I think we often think we'll get like bullied or like shouted at or cast out. But actually, like, if your friends love you, like, they're going to stick with you. Because like, I feel like if I found out that one of my friends was doing something that I thought was a bit weird or I didn't really know much about, I'd be really interested. Yeah. To be like, oh, this is cool. Is it fun? Can I join in? Like, is this something that I would like? Yeah. I think like if my friend bought a new video game, I was like, oh, I want to know what that's about. I'd ask them about it. Yeah. And it's, I think I've found that a lot as I've gotten a little bit bolder and a little bit braver in telling people like, oh yeah, I go to church and stuff like that. They'll just ask about it and it's just very normal. I think we build it up in our heads as something that's not normal, but actually normalise it, it's a really normal thing to do. Truth. And like still now, for myself, I come across people I haven't met before, they don't know I'm a Christian, I still get a bit about saying it. I mean, I do, but I have the same because also, you don't know how they're going to react, you don't know if it's going to offend them or anything like that. So, basically it never leaves you. The feeling of being nervous about sharing doesn't leave you, but the more you do it and you see that it's fine, and some people, shock horror, find it fun. And people want to talk about it. Almost a lot more than I do. I'm like, oh, I shared one bit, I don't want to tell you the rest. But when you get past that. No spoilers. It gets pretty Come back next week. Does he rise again? Come back next week. That's what he did, he came back next week. Should get that on the t-shirt with like, does he rise again? Come back next week. Wow. That was on the back of the t-shirt. Okay. The second tagline I was pointing. Sorry. Brilliant. And off of what you were saying there, also it's just important to remember that as a human being, you have influence where you are. Like there's no way you don't. You can try not to, but you do in some way. So remember that, and like I say, so the way you act is so important because people are around you. They see how you act. They see if your words match your actions, but also you have influence, so you can choose what to do with that within your friendship group, within your year group, whatever, at church. You have sports, whatever you do,
if you're there, you can change the atmosphere in some way. You can influence the atmosphere in some way.
Yeah.
So you have power in that sense.
And people are often, I think all of us go around being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this. Oh, I don't know about this. When we're actually thinking and feeling very strongly about stuff. But actually, like, it just takes one or two people to say something.
Yeah.
And it changes the whole thing. And people are like, oh, that must be a normal opinion to hold. And I think people are so easily influenced. And we often just write ourselves off from that quite quickly. We just, like, duck out. We're like, oh, well, I'm not going to be the one to influence people.
Yeah.
But actually, if you stand up and speak strongly, people will listen.
Yeah, you can 100% be that person.
Yeah. Do it.
100%. So I think with this topic with evangelism as well, it's a very action-based spiritual discipline.
You can't just accidentally do it.
Yeah, you gotta
feel like, yeah.
But
you have to be intentional.
Yeah, and it's a very, like, it's there's a lot of, there's action. Like, you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
So let's say, with everything else we talked about, scripture, prayer, contemplation, a lot of that can be quite internal, can be external, quite slow paced. Whereas when I think about evangelism, in my head, it's like Fast and Furious. Do you know what I mean?
We're all racing to tell people about God.
No, it's just there's a lot going on. It's like first things I think about is like street evangelism.
Yeah.
People running around events. You
got the microphone and the city centre.
So it makes it quite daunting, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Like your point was before, the way that it is kind of rolled out in a lot of churches, and there's a reason why it is. But personally, it doesn't have to be a massive hoo-ha situation. You don't have to get a billboard and stick it on.
You're saying it doesn't have to be too Jesus, too furious. Too fast, too Jesus?
No. Neither of those. No, it doesn't. And it's not alright. It's not about who can get the most people saved, because no one is saving anybody.
Yeah.
Jesus is the person who's saving. So it's important, I think, to again remember that burden, because I think people get burdened when they think about evangelism, of like, it's my job to save people.
What if I say the wrong thing and this person's just completely gonna backlash against it? Yeah.
You can only come with what you have, and if you're coming from a place of, like I say, you're rooted and established in God, and you're moving with that, then I think He honours that and blesses that. And it's God who's doing the saving, guys. It's not us.
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest thing that changed in my life when I started kind of taking it seriously, and I looked around, and like a lot of my friends are non-Christians. Like, they don't know Jesus. They obviously know that I go to church, and sometimes they'll talk about that, and they're interested in it, but they weren't very receptive for quite a long time. And I think I personally tend to gravitate towards people that don't know Jesus. I need people that do, within the church, that keep me rooted, but actually where I love to be is around the non-Christians. Like, I love it. I love being that person in that place. And I feel like the biggest change that I made was actually my prayer life in that. So, first of all, I was always really scared to tell people that I knew Jesus and I went to church. And even at 24, I was still scared about if someone asked what I did last night, I'd be a bit worried about being I went to church. But yeah, the first thing I did was write a list of people that I wanted to see come to know God, and just committed to praying for them. And that, genuinely, guys, it makes such a difference. I think we always think oh, I have to do this and I have to do this. Start praying. God will do amazing things. And people will come up to you I had this, people phoned me out of the blue being someone in the streets just offered to pray for me and I don't know how I feel about that. But I know that you know how to feel about that. So I thought I'd phone you. Yeah.
That's cool.
And that genuinely happened after I prayed for one of my friends for a week. And I was well, let's talk about this and let's see, I'll tell you what I think and you can find out. And obviously you know that I'm being real with you because you know who I am.
Yeah.
And you know how I live my life. So, yeah. I think pray, definitely, because it makes it's not off your own back, is it? Like, you're doing it with God.
Yeah.
And he's way bigger and way better than we are.
Mm.
Bit of an understatement, but yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a good thought to close on.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I guess we encourage you guys this week. That's a good kind of simple way to maybe start making steps.
Yeah, write a list. So I had just like my phone background for quite a while was like a couple of initials of people that I was praying for. So I just like typed out a list of like 5 people, but I didn't want to put their actual names on my phone background because I thought it'd be super weird.
Yeah, imagine.
I know. Why's my name there? So I had some initials just on my phone background, and no one really looked at it because no one really cares what your phone background is.
True.
Yeah. So I just had that, and every time I opened up my phone, I'd be like, "Oh, I'll pray for these guys," and I had just 5 people on there. I had to pray for them.
That's really good. So have a go at that, guys. And yeah, prayer incredibly important in all circumstances. But yeah, Ruth's completely right. That it's a very powerful thing that happens when you stand in prayer for somebody else, especially if they're not a Christian.
Yeah.
Like amazing things happen, and God sees that and He blesses that.
Yeah.
So,
and come back with stories when stuff happens as well. Like, tell other people within the church, because people love hearing about it.
100%.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Hopefully that has encouraged you. Yeah, and as we say, we're joking about, but do let us know. Do share stories of things. Share your thoughts with us as well. I mean, especially as we're in summer holidays, I'm sure you'll be around people you're not normally around. It's a good opportunity. Always be looking for opportunity, I would say, to share, because it's always there. And yeah, if you are that person who feels a little bit nervy about it, prayer is a really good place to start. Come chat to us about it as well. And I just encourage you to be bold and step out and have a go, because you could look back on this 10 years from now and you could be somebody who is known for loving evangelism as a spiritual discipline, a holy habit.
Holy habits.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't be that person, guys.
And we're going to start a merch business.
Yes, with these Jesus-themed t-shirts that we've come up with. Okay, so yeah, thank you again for joining us, guys. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a fantastic August. Be safe wherever you are. And yeah, please do stay in touch with us. We obviously don't have our youth Zooms happening at the moment because we're in summer holidays, but we will be back in September. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled for any information on that. In the meantime, have a fantastic week and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Ta-da!